Right, are we ready to start? All right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, blockchain enthusiasts, crypto enthusiasts, stop buying cryptos and let's have a chat for a couple of days about cryptos. The next panel will start in 1 minute, guys. Right, okay, now that we're all here, we can start with the third panel of the day before the lunch break. You're gonna have a lunch break, don't worry. In about 45 minutes to 1 hour from now, we're all gonna go for a nice meal. Have you ever wondered how blockchain technology is radically transforming the world, guys? Well, wonder no more. We have with us today Vaida. Help me out with the surname again, please.
Saltenyte.
Louder.
Saltenyte.
Vaida Saltenyte, everyone, head of partnerships at YouHodler.com. Vaida, the stage is yours. Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the short break. And now we're going to be moving to our next panel about how blockchain is completely changing the world. Before that, I would like to ask a question. What is blockchain? How it is changing our everyday lives, what main impact it did to everything around us. And to answer these questions and many more, I have an amazing panel where my guests will be joining me to answer and discuss every single question. So without further ado, I will ask my guests to introduce themselves. Let's start with you, Andreas. Please, can you tell a bit about yourself and your background and about your connection to blockchain?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Andreas Livadiotis, the CEO of XValley Technologies. We provide bespoke software for crypto trading exchanges. And my view on blockchain is a revolutionary invention by an anonymous guy, and I think it has allowed the idea, the freedom of people to transfer money, value, and make payments, and is changing the world as we know it.
Thank you, Andreas. Theo? Yes?
Hi, I'm Theo. I'm Managing Director at Cyprus Blockchain Technologies, which is like the first biggest think tank in Cyprus around blockchain technologies. And I'm also CEO at Electi Consulting, which is like a consulting agency focusing on blockchain, AI. And we have worked with many clients around the world, like European Central Bank, US Navy, MSC Ship Management, and all the big players that are interested to understand about blockchain technology. My involvement into blockchain comes naturally as I was at Cambridge University in mathematics, then at UCL PhD in cryptography, and I'm into the space since pretty much the invention of it. And I'm more focusing now, interested in privacy-preserving technologies and new technologies from cryptography world that can be applied to add anonymity and privacy on the blockchain space.
Thank you, Thank you, Theo. Dimitris?
Hello, everyone. My name is Dimitri Naklaos. I'm an ecosystem manager of VeChain. My role in VeChain, which is the more greenest and user-friendly public blockchains in the world, is to help enterprises to understand what this blockchain is about, how we can use the blockchain into their day-to-day business, and what is the value deriving using the blockchain. So thank you for having me today.
Pleasure. Okay, so let's dive in. Before we talk about all the benefits and potential challenges and any questions about the blockchain, I would like to ask you, what is blockchain for you? What is your definition of blockchain? Andreas?
Very interesting question. Blockchain, it's a distributed ledger. It's a set of blocks that we all know. For Bitcoin, for example, every 10 minutes, a miner will verify with a hashing crypto algorithm and will hash a set of transactions. But in reality, blockchain is more than that. It's a distributed ledger, which is the most important aspect. Blockchain is just the technology used from validating from 10,000 nodes currently for Bitcoin to validate the transactions. But the underlying idea is the distributed ledger, which is more important than blockchain itself. And in the future, I believe there will be more definitions of how to do a distributed ledger beyond blockchain.
Thank you. What about you, Theo?
Well, I can give two definitions. From like a strictly computer science point of view, blockchain is a block-to-block architecture, okay, where you have like transactions being calculated under a block, being verified, and appended to the next block. So it's just the data structure, the way you append on this data structure. From the way we perceive blockchain, it's about encoding a whole ecosystem to follow certain rules. So it's more about bringing stakeholders involved in like complex transactions on the same system where you can automate as much of this interaction you need. So it's about encoding a whole system. Okay, and there are many moving parts, data structure to define, consensus mechanisms to define, gossip protocols to define, many moving parts around this technology.
Thank you, Theo. Dimitris?
Well, that is a very interesting question where I get it a lot. And I'm going to use a very different approach about what is blockchain. So what is blockchain, since nowadays we're hearing a lot about the metaverse, I'm going to discuss about the multiverse. So my example of blockchain is using the multiverse with different, one scenario in 3 different universes. The scenario of a boy saying, I love you to a girl. So the first universe is the central system universe where a boy says to a girl, I love you, and he says that all alone. So there is no endorsement, there is no validation, there is no verification of this statement. So at any time, the boy can withdraw from that statement, he can lie about that statement, and he can deny about that statement. And this is how a central system works. Now, the second universe is this universe of a central system with a backup, because the boy brings a friend as a witness to hear that statement of love to that girl, and he can verify that information. But at any point, if he wants to lie about it, he needs to convince his friend to lie with him about him. So this is a central system with a backup. Now, the third universe is where is the blockchain, is where the boy says that statement to the girl, and there are multiple participants, maybe unknown to each other, that listen to that statement. At any point that the boy wants to withdraw from the statement, these people, these witnesses are going to say, no, you have said this statement to that girl. And this is what is blockchain about, the integrity, the immutability, the security of the data.
Amazing explanation. How many times did you explain this already to people?
All the time, by the way, because this is how to explain the value of the blockchain.
Do they understand it actually easier than the technical part?
Well, most of the time they understand it, and if they don't understand it, I'm using real use cases. For example, this mask, you can scan it and you can see what this is about and how it's using the blockchain technology.
Amazing. I think we're going to get to that a bit later too. Thank you.
Thank you.
So without further actually stopping, because you mentioned of the mask and usage, my next question is about the adoption of blockchain. Where do you see different industries that it disrupted, that it made the biggest impact, and where do you see it moving even further? Let's continue, Dimitri, with you.
Well, the blockchain is not panacea for every industry, and that is something very important to understand. So we started as VeChain, starting using the blockchain, using our strategic partners in the supply chain, which was the easiest industry to understand where the blockchain value brings, what value the blockchain brings. And then now continue more into the sustainable development goals given by UN. Also have Antonio Sanatore, ex-global CTO for blockchain labs in Deloitte, joining VeChain for the development of these products for the sustainable development goals. And yeah, we are moving more and more into the industries that are going to benefit not only the linear economies, but also the sustainability.
Thank you. Andreas, you have something to add, maybe?
Yes. Blockchain has been used most widely for trading, payments, and all the financial operations, but it can advance in many other insurance, for example. You can do insurance certificates, insurance validation, have a history of each driver on the blockchain. You can have governments based on blockchain for faster service of the citizens. You can have a voting system that is based on blockchain. And we have said a lot of times that voting can be tampered or the manual way there can be mistakes. You can have a crowdfunding platform where you will be able to invest into projects using blockchain. You can have retail shops where instead of paying with a Visa, MasterCard or cash, you can go and pay with your crypto wallet. And of course, you can do real estate. You can sell properties with your wallet.
Thank you. I will move to Theo. Next question is for you. You as a cryptography expert, I would like to ask, what are the next tools to preserving privacy and how blockchain helped cryptography to evolve?
Yeah, very good question. So cryptography, it's like a very old type of science based on mathematics and computer science. There were some long-standing open problems, and because it's the first time that cryptography is being used to invent the so-called private money, so there were lots of investments into the development of blockchain for specific use cases, and we've seen like an exponential growth in terms of publications, top research in cryptography, and application of cryptography in the last like just 5 years. Bitcoin, which appeared like a decade ago, it's based on 40 years of research in cryptography. The speed up in these last 5 to 10 years, it's amazing. We have very new technologies that can be implemented in practice, like zero-knowledge proofs, protocols that can be used in order to add privacy layers, but at the same time add verifiability layers on the blockchain. These are things that have not been tested before, and they've been tested in the last like 5 years, and it seems that they work. So we had like lots of advancements in the privacy-preserving technologies, as I've mentioned, in the last like 5 years, pretty much. It was exponential.
And how do you see it moving into the future?
I see many stuff being on the blockchain. Use cases that can be, I have just like a simple question asking my clients when they are interested in blockchain. Do you have multiple parties involved in like a certain scenario? If yes, then we can start coding through blockchain. Are these parties trusted? If yes, you don't need a public blockchain, you go private blockchain. If no, you use a public blockchain. So in order to understand what are the new use cases that you can add, it's all about based on how many stakeholders are involved into a system. And also I see the financial sector being pretty much transformed through also securitization now, because these privacy-preserving technologies, they can actually allow people to buy securities in a privacy-preserving way, but in a verifiable way, as regulators need. We have this technology now, so I believe that in the next maybe 5 years, I'm going to be pessimistic, I think it's going to be earlier, all the financial sector will be mapped on the blockchain space.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, thank you. Dimitris, I would like to ask you about sustainability and how do you see it in combination with blockchain. So we know that blockchain technology got a little bit under scrutiny lately for being environmentally unfriendly and using a lot of electricity and so on. But can blockchain technology be the force also sustaining and also pushing sustainability and making more use in our lives?
Well, it depends also from which network or blockchain you're building on. For example, on VeChain, we are 100% friendlier, eco-friendly than Cardano.
So that's first, yes?
That's the first, yeah. So yeah, sorry for promoting VeChain, but when we're talking about sustainability or the preservation of our planet, I think we're going to start from VeChain. Also, our partners like DNV, PwC are investing a lot in our technology for these sustainability development goals. But also it's important that we need to understand that technology, especially blockchain, should be used for other reasons than finance, reasons who have noble obligation to use the technology. I'm a technophile. I believe that technology can solve a lot of problems in our planet. So about sustainability, I'm thinking about some use cases who have been built on VeChain, and an example is the sustainability fashion. In the past years, we know about the sustainability, the fashion through the linear economy. So the linear economy is based on the take, use, waste. Where in the sustainability and the circular economy, we have the 3 R's, where it's reuse, recycle, and reduce. So one use case that we're very proud to talk about is the H&M use case in China. How some of the clothes in H&M have been created by using the waste of clothes in order to have a second life of the product. So if we consider that the linear economy of fashion, the product has a single life, with sustainability fashion using the blockchain, and I'm going to come to why blockchain plays a role there, the product has a secondary life, maybe sometimes a third life, because we're reusing, we're recycling, and we're retaking the product. So where is blockchain on that? So when a customer of H&M buys the garment, he can see the QR code of my story. It was developed with DNV. DNV are expert in certification and accreditation for more than 150 years. They can scan the QR code and they can see the whole story about that product. That story was created using a recycle and waste clothes. And that is very important because the consumer engagement with the product is becoming stronger, but also the statement of a company about their sustainability goals and environmental friendly is very important nowadays. Or when I'm thinking about sustainability, we can also discuss about the BYD case in China. BYD is the second largest electric engineer manufacturer of cars, and it's about this use case is how the driver is becoming more eco-friendly using their cars, and then this information is validated on the blockchain, audited, and then be rewarded in carbon credits. And those carbon credits then can be used in different stakeholders, for example, shops, insurance companies, etc., etc. So you can see the value remaining in the ecosystem. That's why it's about circular economy.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's actually interesting to see how the small ecosystem emerges of the use of this single blockchain, and let's say the reuse of the product can be actually proven on blockchain. You can actually see if it really was recycled, if it really the emission was reduced, really how much the data of the supply chains, for instance, like Walmart, what we know, we can see how the supplies actually travel from the ground to the transportation, through the shelves. All the details are visible now. I know you have more comment on this.
Thank you for bringing Walmart as a use case. But yeah, we have been working with Walmart for the last 3 years in China, and the importance about the use case is we have been hearing a lot about KYC, knowing your customer, but nothing about KYP, the reverse way around. So it's important when a consumer buys a product to know the story about the product, where it is coming from, in which logistic company was used, in which temperature. And all this is using the blockchain technology along with IoT. It's important to say that the technology is not absolute, it should be complementary, using blockchain, using IoT, AI, in order to have the maximum efficiency about the use case. And in the Walmart, it's a B2B2C, which means that the Walmart is monitoring their suppliers about the quality of the product that they're buying from which supplier, and then incentivized to have the best quality, and everything that is then verified on the blockchain. And the consumer, when they buy the product, they can scan the QR code and find the whole story of the product, as you said, from the genesis part up on the shelf of the supermarket. And this is the Walmart case in China. And I think it's creating more transactions of industrial transactions in any blockchain in the world.
Yeah, that sounds great, amazing. So I would like the next question about the topic that most people have heard about blockchain, so they immediately think about cryptocurrencies. They're like, I think this is the first introduction of blockchain and cryptocurrencies for the main audience. what is your take about this duo? And what do you think how cryptocurrency is going to still continue being involved in blockchain? And maybe what are other uses, apart of cryptos? Apart for financial part, but also another possibilities?
That is a very hard question, to be honest. Blockchain and cryptocurrencies, or blockchain currencies, they are together up to now. We know there is no utility of cryptocurrencies, blockchain currencies, or digital currencies without the blockchain. The blockchain will do the validation, will create the blocks, and if someone tries to hack it, which is extremely difficult but possible, the validation nodes will see that and will stop the attacking nodes from putting false transactions. Now, blockchain currencies or digital currencies up to now, they have been using the blockchain as the technology to keep their ledger, their distributed ledger, as we said before. But it's not impossible. Even some governments are thinking to issue a digital currency which will be based not on blockchain, but will have a different ledger. And I believe in the future there will be separation. Of course, blockchain and cryptocurrencies will be together, but there is also will be separation.
Sorry?
Yeah,
absolutely, please.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency comes from the words cryptography and currency, so you don't need to have hard feelings or something. It's not a bad word. Digital assets or cryptocurrencies are required pretty much to incentivize a whole system to run as it is expected to run. And this is their use, right? I have a trusted nodes that are expected to behave in a certain behavior. I map this behavior into a token, and I design a system this way. So the token is something to incentivize the stakeholders to keep things properly into the ecosystem. But yes, it requires also some type of regulations at some point in order to avoid the scams that you all have experienced, I guess, around 2017. But in general, it's not a bad word, right?
For us, yes. No, because we know, right? But so the next question is actually from my side. We know blockchain is good and the technology is transforming the world. But there are, let's say, people who heard about the bad stuff from the media because, well, the bad stuff mainly catches the headlines. How can we spread the good word? How can we educate people better about the blockchain and its benefits?
May I? Yeah, it's for me, yeah. By creating real use cases, leveraging the blockchain technology that will have a real value. Back to the cryptocurrencies, I don't think that cryptocurrencies made the bad word about themselves and about the privacy, etc. When we had banks accepting money without asking questions, where you got the money, source of funds, then who is the actor here? Is the crypto or the bank? So for me, it starts from that person. But about how we change the attitude is by making simple use cases. I mean, why people are now into NFTs, for example, non-fungible tokens, is because it's easy to understand and it's beautiful to understand, right? For example, this T-shirt is an NFT. I bought the NFT from a designer, created the NFT, and I make it in a T-shirt. Fashion NFT, for example. It's easy to understand. So if we create simple use cases that people can understand, it's a start. I mean, when I enter into the blockchain sphere, I enter through cryptocurrencies. Every great love starts with a weird start. This is what I'm saying. So I started by investing into cryptocurrencies, and then I fell in love with the smart contracts of Ethereum. And then I invested into VeChain, and now I'm employed by VeChain. This is how it goes. You need to find the right penetration moment of the market and to enter the market. So the simpler the use case, the easier people can understand, questioning and exploring the waters of blockchain.
Yes, true. It's a combination. It's a combination of simple steps of, if we're going to talk to people and overload with information, it will not take any good impression. I remember when I get into the crypto, it was so much information from all the sides. Just the learning curve was so steep that any second word you read is terminology you have to Google, you have to check. But if there are small use cases, like you say, oh, this is, by the way, blockchain, and this we can use, I think we can actually bring more people in and educate them better.
More use cases, but also another thing that I want to add on that is when I'm using the email, for example, I just press send and receive, right? I don't know the protocol that is built. So if we start discussing about the simplicity of the technology and providing the tools to build these use cases, for example, when I do an NFT on VeChain, I don't touch the crypto. I don't touch the smart contract. I just drag and drop. The same with the supply chain and the tool chain, which are our flagship product. It's easy to build a use case without touching the crypto, without touching the smart contract, in the easiest way and in the more green way that is possible.
True. However, now, let's say those fears of people, they come from something, and we had we have the fear of new. So blockchain is relatively new and a new technology. So it comes also with its own challenges. Theo, can you maybe have a couple of comments? What blockchain challenges face now, and how do you see them overcoming in the future?
First of all, if I may add to the first section of your question, if you go a long time back, few decades, people were against computers, against the internet, against everything. And when it becomes mainstream, they pretty much accept it. So when it will become a mainstream, when you have this called regression to the mean, when you are going to remove all the scam phase and you are going to have real use cases, real added value, this is the point where things will be accepted. Now, regarding challenges, with all the technologies, there are always challenges. Blockchain at the moment experiences exponential adoption, which technology has capabilities. So there are problems arising from the technological nature, from the algorithmic design nature, scalability stuff. Now they're talking about this environmental footprint, which is going to be solved anyway, even though it's not very important. And there are other challenges for educating people, for making people believing that this is a technology they can use. This will come through central banked, pretty much, digital currencies, that it's not secret anymore. Everybody knows that there are countries that are experimenting with having their currencies. And when this will come into people's life, they will accept it. Challenges, many challenges. The previous panel was talking about security. I'm into security for many years. I cannot define security on blockchain. Many moving parts. Security in what sense? Like implementation, protocol design, network design, consensus design, game theoretic design. I mean, it's a monster. So security is going to be the biggest challenge for cryptography. And as security experts, cryptographers, we have to always run in order to make sure that nothing bad will happen. Okay? So it's a new technology. We are experimenting, many moving parts. And the biggest challenge will always be the security part.
Yes, and then previous panelists also were talking about quantum computing and being just at the very beginning at the moment, but it is coming. So how blockchain technology can prepare for this?
Yes, quantum computing, it's going to become not mainstream, but when the states will be in position to run quantum-based computations, there are certain bits that will have problem. This is not about blockchain only. It's about everything on the internet, everything based on a public key infrastructure that uses public key cryptography with the current key sizes, will be broken. Okay, so what's the problem? The problem is that we need to switch to new algorithms, especially in the PKI space, public key infrastructure, which we have NIST in USA. They already have some finalists that they can replace certain algorithms. We have many companies undergoing the so-called post-quantum readiness check, which means they have to make modular architectures so that they can isolate these problematic parts and replace them with new algorithms. So I don't see any problem on this. Hash functions being used for transparency cannot be broken. Okay, you can just increase the key size. So we have security at this point. So it's all about preparing your architecture to do this plug-and-play stuff, but not at the UI level, at the algorithmic level. Okay, and we are ready to do this when it happens. The problem that will remain, and I don't want to scare you, if a government pretty much taps and gets all your data now, let's say, your purchases at Amazon or whatever, when they are going to have quantum computing, they can just decrypt everything and see what you bought. I mean, that's straightforward, but from the future, we have means to protect this from happening.
Okay, so basically it's not really to breaking the technology, so to say, completely faking, but it's rather exposing more of information.
Yes, I mean, if we stick to the traditional systems that we have with the traditional PKI and we have quantum algorithms, then they can pretty much decode information that has been produced during this old PKI-like era. Yeah, so this is the reality.
Okay, talking about the data and about the privacy and about, let's say, ownership of items. We cannot talk about blockchain and not mention NFTs. And again, one NFT example we have now sitting in the room. But on the other side, what are the possibilities even further? We know explosion of pictures of CryptoPunks, of other projects going now crazy on marketing hypes, on the actual value of the technology, I don't think is really exposed in these kind of projects. What do you see, let's say, actual uses for NFTs for the future? Dimitris?
Well, I need to admit something public today. Back in the days, when they showed me NFTs, I said, okay, I don't understand it. I can right-click and save this JPEG. And then a friend of mine that we are together into investment, into cryptocurrencies since forever, he told me, you invested into Bitcoin when it was thin air and everybody was telling you are crazy. And then I started digging more and reading more, thinking more, also use cases, also from my legal background because I used to be a lawyer. So the first use case of NFT, I think, imagine you had NFTs back in the days about our data collection on Facebook. When Facebook released into Cambridge Analytica and they take advantage of our data without us knowing about it, that created a big scandal. So you had the NFT could create a protection. But also from Cyprus, a use case that we have of NFTs that nobody pay attention about it is a use case we have in Mediterranean Hospital in Areteio about the healthcare system when a doctor wants to access a medical record under the GHS, knowing the ID number, the date of birth, can access our medical record without the person knowing about it, without giving the consent or monetize from it. But we have built a use case with a strategic partner in Cyprus. It's the eServed project, where the doctor requests the patient to view their medical record, and the patient can accept or not. And this relationship is underpinned on the blockchain. They can see this relationship. So we have also industrial and more enterprise NFTs. Also in San Marino, the COVID passport of San Marino for the green certificate is using the NFT technology.
Interesting. Okay.
Also more, if you want me to say. I mean,
yes, please.
What about the digitals? I mean, you can pre-order a physical item by purchasing the NFT, and then connect the digital item with the physical item. It's called phygital. So it's a new way of engaging the brand with the consumer, and it's fun. And then imagine if you can take this digital item into metaverse, and your behavior, your eco-friendly behavior in the real world, also the metaverse, incentivized. For example, you can win some tokens, and these tokens can be exchanged in the metaverse. The possibilities are tremendous. I mean, I can go all day talking about the possibilities of the technology and the NFTs.
Please.
If I may add on this, if we go now 10 years back, let's get the example of Facebook, Google. Let's get this Economist leaflet, data is the oil. Okay, data is not the oil, data is yours, and they sell it as oil, right? This is what the companies are doing in the world of like Web 2.0. Now with blockchain and the NFTs technology, okay, and I'm not just focusing NFT on the specific use cases, but NFT can cover data exchange, okay? So we are moving from data owning companies that they sell them for millions to a new economy that I can monetize my let's say my post, my pictures, whatever. So the next social media era will be based on blockchain technology. This is inevitable, right? And as Dimitris said, a token will be used in order to incentivize proper behavior. If I'm an influencer, I want to know how much money Instagram makes out of me, and I want to get them. So this can be enabled through smart contract technology and through blockchain environments.
I have a question to the audience. How many of you actually own an NFT now? Nice. How many of you thinking of buying an NFT? Yay! Nice. Andreas, you have any comments maybe on NFTs too? No. Okay.
May I send to everyone an NFT? Find me. Let's create an NFT. I can show you how you can create an NFT. I can transfer it for free to you using the VeChain blockchain, and you can also build your NFT using our technology. It's so easy, as I said, it's plug and play. You don't touch the smart contract, you don't touch the crypto, it's totally free. So please find me later on how to build NFTs. And everybody here, if you want to have an NFT, let's create an NFT from the event. I'm going to send it to you.
That was part of mass adoption. Thank you, Dimitris. I want one NFT too, of course. I have another question. What are the best use cases of blockchain you've seen so far? It not necessarily have to be your project, but let's say most of any cases that you've seen on the internet. I'm sure you've been exposed way more to these things than our audiences. So what would you say made the most impression of you?
Well, before I jump to business use cases, I mean, even the fact that owning crypto, you are becoming your own bank, it's something very important. I mean, in 2014, when I first invested into cryptocurrencies, I invested for a reason. The reason was I didn't like what happened in Cyprus with the bailout and the haircuts. Yeah, I saw my family, I saw my grandparents losing their money. So the use case becoming your own bank, it's very important. So, I mean, we cannot ignore these use cases that came with cryptocurrencies. And then, as the technology evolves and we saw the smart contracts, we have also other business use cases. I mean, one of the use cases that I fell in love with, and it was from DNV, and DNV is a strategic partner of VeChain, is the My Story for Wines. Because for first time in history, a bottle of wine is more than just a bottle of wine. It's very similar use case to Walmart, but with about wine. On top of it, we have the auditing of the information before reaching the blockchain, because anyone can write anything on the blockchain and it can be a lie. So imagine that you can audit that information before it reaches the blockchain, and that creates even more transparency and trust. I cannot say it's bulletproof, because in order to reach that level of bulletproof, we will need to explore the potential of combining the technologies of blockchain and IoT.
And I remember, yes, we were thinking also the truth of facts that go on blockchain, to verify that we know that what's on blockchain stays on blockchain, but how we know that what went on blockchain is true.
Exactly. That's why nowadays we're using auditors of business assurance. Also, Grant Thornton, I see here Alexis, they're building a very interesting case how you can know that the information going on the blockchain is valid one. DNV, as I mentioned, PwC are exploring these waters. And in the future, those companies are going to have also their automated validators and auditors will be machines. So we can see that it's evolving. It's going to be there. So yeah, the validity of the data should also be audited, I think, in order to create even more value when it goes on the blockchain.
It's the same as the internet anyway. I mean, you have like this green key lock. When you go and do some transactions, you know that this entity owns this key, which can be used to wrap your transactions and crypto transactions. And there are certificate authorities that have pretty much audited these people, and they prove they own this key. This is the same in like in the blockchain space. You can have nodes. They can prove through digital signing they own a key, and this key can be used in order to validate that the data are correctly, pretty much signed correctly. Okay, so this is the technology.
I see the mask that we mentioned at the beginning of the panel. Can you tell a little bit more what is it and why it's here on this panel?
Well, this mask actually is made from Sarah Regensberger. Sarah Regensberger is a vegan designer, which means that she uses materials that are friendly to the environment and zero animal cruel. And it's important because it was, for me, the first project I used I work for, Sarah Regensberger. And when you scan this mask, there is an NFC chip because we discussed about IoT. So when you scan it, you can see the whole story of the mask or some information about the mask that Sarah Regensberger wanted to share with her clients. So we see the shift of consumer engagement with the brand using the technology. It might be NFTs, it might be NFC chips, which is the near frequency. When you scan, you can see the product. It can be QR codes, depending what you're going to achieve. So that's why this mask is sitting here to show that blockchain is more than just smart contracts, it's more than just crypto. It's actually happening, and maybe sometimes we don't even know that it's happening. It's as I said with the email, you send and receive, and you don't know the protocol that is being used. So we're there, we're in the adoption stage.
Amazing, thank you. Do we have any questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
Right,
I need help.
All right, questions. Raise your hands. Where am I going? There. All right. I'm going to lose weight here today, guys. There we go.
Hi, everybody. Nicholas here from PwC Cyprus. And I need to say first that this was a very interesting panel. So me personally, I find projects like AirTrace or the Walmart case that you just mentioned really exciting, of course. And the reason why I do is because this kind of projects enhance the trust between market participants. And I'm not sure if we are able to recognize the value of that or if we are able to understand the value of that, but it is huge because it's one thing to know that you have an approved supplier, and it is another thing to know the exact process that this supplier is following, from manufacturing a good to distributing the good to getting it to your end consumer. So this is a very important project. So my question here is, and I understand all of this, but what are the ways forward now? Is it just a matter of time until this whole blockchain excitement becomes the new norm? Or are there any steps that we need to take before that? Thank you.
To who is the question? Who you want to ask? Anyone?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, good question. Applies to pretty much all technologies. There is something called Gartner's hype cycle. Okay, if you search of it, you are going to see something like this. Okay, so new technology, people make money, they like to make money, so they invest into it, they speak about it. So you have this like stealth phase where everybody's talking about it. Definitely, blockchain is not God. They cannot solve all the problems, right? So some of them will be phased out at some point, and you are going to have regression to the mean, where you are going to have the real use cases. But this experimentation is very good. It's good to have volume of people experimenting, trying new things, because you will pretty much initiate like the universe so that this small probability of the next Amazon, of the next Facebook or whatever will come out of these many trials. Okay, so it's Gartner hype cycle, pretty much the psychological cycle people follow with new technologies.
Next question.
There we go.
I have two questions. My first is about VeChain, especially because it's one of my favorite projects, VeChain. What I want is if you can give me some explanations, if I'm correct, about the IoT devices transaction system that I believe you are trying to build as a company, as a VeChain. And also, I heard about the ISO launchpad that might be have in VeChain that is in initial coin offerings. I don't know if I'm correct about this, but if we can get some more information about that subject.
I'm going to start from the second question, which is the very common question because many people are associating VeChain with supply chain projects. I'm going to say this. VeChain is a smart contract platform. Anything that is built on Ethereum can be built on VeChain faster, cheaper, and greener. Because we are using the Ethereum virtual machine, we are using Solidity, we are using Python. So anything built on Ethereum can be built also on VeChain. The reason why there is this misunderstanding and misconception about the use case from the use case of supply chain is because our strategic partners that use our technology, they prefer to start from supply chain. So if you want to do an ICO, you can do it the same way you can do it on Ethereum. The technology is there, it's public chain, you can see the code on the GitHub. Now, when it comes to the other question about the IoT, if I remember correct, you mentioned? Yeah. The Internet of Things, in VeChain we have the toolchain. The toolchain is a SaaS solution, which means that you develop a project without even touching the crypto, without touching the smart contract. And on top of it, we have plenty amount of different IoT solutions from RFID, near-frequency chips, passive temperature sensors that can be used depending on the use case you want to achieve. For example, when we're using this NFC chip inside here is washable. When I'm going to use an NFC chip on the wine for anti-counterfeiting, I'm going to use a sticker. So when a sticker, when I open a bottle of wine, it's going to break. So if I try to scan it, I can see that it has been changed, the information, so I cannot trust that the bottle of wine is the original bottle of wine I was buying. So we have different IoT solutions.
Next one.
My second question is about if you can give a roadmap or steps that new blockchain developers, both in the management department and the technical programming department, to do in order to start their career in blockchain or their own crypto project. Sorry.
The question is for me, I guess? Okay. Our roadmap is extensive. We're trying to have more and more builders in our blockchain. We're trying to minimize lower the barrier of entry using, for example, recently we launched the Python coding on VeChain blockchain. We have also the grant program. We have launched, I think, $1 million USD funding for new developers to come and build on VeChain. So it's ongoing. There is no roadmap, definite roadmap. It's ongoing. We are following the trend. We are trying to be agile, and this is all about. I mean, we need to be agile when it comes to technology. Otherwise, we're going to become like a big company that is not moving.
Okay, answered. Happy with the answers? Okay, so next question.
There you go.
Hi, Panis Pkeri, startup journalist. Okay, well, blockchain is a revolution. Do you think, I want your opinion, if Cyprus is doing enough to get ahead in this blockchain, let's say, revolution? All of you.
Well, Cyprus is working on it, I will say. We are not ahead like other countries, but we are working on it.
In regards to like private sector, you see, I mean, people have some meetups, so we have like people representing different like blockchains, like Dimitris on the VeChain. So the ecosystem is not mature, it's fine. From the public sector, there are no initiatives so far, but they are working on it. I guess there is like a crypto bill, there are regulations. They are trying hard to help Cyprus innovate more on the blockchain space. But unfortunately, technology, I mean, it's not something that you can wait 10 years. It's over. Then you have to jump to the next one. In general, I guess we have like a medium maturity level in Cyprus about blockchain space. We are not very low, not very high. Yeah.
Well, we have two gears. The first gear is the private gear, and the second gear is the public gear. The private gear, I mean, talking from the VeChain ecosystem, we have Grant Thornton Cyprus, is moving fast on building use cases on the blockchain sphere. We have PwC doing the same thing. So we are going to see many use cases from the private sector in Cyprus. Also, the hospitals in Cyprus is something very big. I mean, and I'm surprised that we haven't been contacted by the GHS. When it comes to the public sector, well, bureaucracy was always the evil when it comes to technology advancement. With the new Ministry of Innovation, leading by Mr. Kokinos, I think we want to see more and more use cases. And yeah, I'm hopeful. Hope is what's driving us, isn't it?
And if I may add, we are in a blockchain event in Cyprus with European experts flown all over the Europe. So I think this is a good steps forward. Next questions?
There we go.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Sandstrom. I'm the CEO of Hilbert Group. Hilbert Group is a public company, public investment company listed on Nasdaq First North in Stockholm. And we are running an asset management business, and we're trading VeChain on a daily basis. And I'm wondering, Dimitris, what do you see as the key focus over the next year for VeChain in terms of projects that you're running internally?
Well, as a VeChain tech company, our focus, I think, in the next years is going to be more the sustainability development goals projects with more circular economy models, more sustainability projects, but also we are also on the food and beverage industry, about food safety, especially when it comes through our strategic partners network. I think we're going to see more and more projects on that. Also, from the community perspective, I see a lot of growth of the NFTs. The projects we're going to see are growing exponential. For example, last night I was contacted by a project. It's called Metaversarials. They're going to connect the NFT with the VAR. So unbelievable the possibilities of the technology, not just on VeChain, but in the whole blockchain sphere. I don't want to be promoting only VeChain. I see the technology as a whole. So thank you for this question. Really appreciate it, Nicholas.
All right. Thanks.
Next question.
Next question.
Next question, there we go.
Hello, my name is also Nicholas, and my question would be, for somebody who has not had so much experience in technology, in blockchain technology, what is the easiest way to invest in this technology? Thank you.
Invest by building. My background is legal. I am zero technology. Actually, I used to be zero technology. And how you start building is by start reading, and you are more than free to discuss later how you can use toolchain, because toolchain is building without really touching the smart contract, without touching the coding. So building is important. And then you can build use cases. For example, this use case of the NFT T-shirt. I saw the NFT. I bought the NFT. Then I printed it on the T-shirt. I minted it also as a transaction ID, so it has a unique ID on the blockchain. So it's just by exploring and by building without fearing. And we're also providing a sandbox environment, so you're not going to lose any crypto, let's say, or so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further question? Anyone else? Yes, at the back.
There we go.
Hi, my name is Henry, and I'm a very early investor in VeChain. I think it's amazing. I have two questions, actually. One, I've been hearing rumors that there's going to be like integration with the Amazon because of the supply chain management theorem, you know. And is that true? Do you know?
No comment on that, but I mean, it can be connected not just in Amazon, it can be connected in any supply chain, in any e-commerce. So the technology is there, the use case is there. We're ready not just for Amazon, but for any e-commerce marketplace that is leveraging the internet, because blockchain is the next internet.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, and second question, does the protocol, is there any integration between the layer 1 Ethereum and then it's your own build, you know what I mean? Like if I want to build an NFT on a VeChain platform, what are the smart contract nodes taken from?
Actually, we are a hard fork of Ethereum, so we're running our own public blockchain, the VeChain blockchain. But this question about NFTs, I can share something in public now because a lot of communities say share something new that you can share. We have a project that they're building the physical provenance of the item on VeChain, part of the NFT also on the VeChain, and then the bidding auction is on Ethereum. So we can see also interoperability of the two blockchains on their best practices because Ethereum is the first mover of NFTs, and I think we're the best when it comes to the business use case as an example of supply chain and provenance.
So when it comes to gas fees on Ethereum, if you were to auction, are gas fees involved or is it already bridged?
It's not yet bridged. The technology is there with atomic swaps. We have a project that is doing atomic swaps, Safe Haven. So I think in the future we're going to see the bridging of the fees. But I would suggest that if you want to avoid high fees, why not build fully on VeChain?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm an early Solana investor for NFTs, and like I've built there as well. So that's why I'm asking these questions to see how I can move to VeChain, for example, if need be. You know.
It's very easy because, as I said, we're using the Ethereum virtual machine. As you build on Ethereum, you build the same way on VeChain. I think even
so the code
faster
is still,
and easier.
The code is still Solidity, the same node, same, okay.
So, Solidity again, also Python. And if you don't want to use at all the coding, there are also the tools that you can drag and drop. You don't touch the crypto. For example, we have the fee delegation protocol, which means that you can have a blockchain solution without touching the crypto.
Yeah, so I don't touch the crypto or the smart contracts. It's already being built as I want it.
Exactly. Okay. It's on our back end. This is how we achieve mass adoption and mainstream.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see VeChain is completely stealing the show. Any other questions?
There we go.
Thank you, sir. Alexis Nicolaou, Block.co and Grant Thornton. How far do you think we are from achieving interoperability between blockchains? Theo.
Well, I mean, I don't think we are that too far. There are middle layers that you can use to move from one layer to the other. If you are talking about interoperability in general, about all the systems being integrated together, since we know it's a problem, we are not that far. It's going to be solved. We have some networks that have already been distinguished from the others. I mean, you have the Ethereum network, you have the Solana, you have the Polkadot, you have the VeChain. So it's all about understanding which are going to be the finalists and then start looking how to write middle layers to jump from one to another. And it's good to have many blockchains, right? I mean, this is the whole purpose, rather than having everything running on one system.
Thank you. Do we have any time for any other question?
Anyone?
I think we're good.
We're good?
I have a question.
You have a question, yes.
Can I say hi to my sister? Hi, sis.
Nice. Always important.
Done? All right, this was it. Guys, I must tell you, if when I came here today, I was hating NFTs, now I hate them even more because I don't get them. We had a great panel, guys, and I think if we could, we would make this panel last for 24 hours. But I promised you that if you behave and you're good, you're going to go to lunch. So let's thank our moderators. We're going to start with Vaida. Thank you ever so much for the panel.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Andreas Livadiotis.
Thank you.
Theodosis Mourouzis. And the last but not the least, Dimitris Neocleos. 1 hour lunch break, and when you come back from lunch break, I'm going to have a surprise for you. Is that a deal? Like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Download the app. That was it.